Hello, this is Holly Graham, and I'm presenting a paper on differentiation in the middle school ELA classroom. Not only I completed this paper, but I completed it with Lee Talley. The abstract of this paper is, "This research explores differentiation in the middle school ELA classroom." This research also encourages differentiation in the reading classroom, not just the regular classroom. And also, differentiation is for all students, not just for students who have disabilities. The introduction to the paper is, teachers need to use content. Content is the most important thing that you can know in order to do differentiation. And teaching to the middle is not acceptable. You must teach your high students and you must teach your low students. And you also must not lose your middle students when you're using differentiation. Tasks are according to interest, abilities, and learning preferences. We must remember learning styles when we teach tasks. Background experiences also help us teach students. Culture, language, gender, readiness to learn, modes of learning, speed of learning, support systems, self-awareness, confidence, and independences as a learner. And it's important that all students need to master important content. And the question is, what strategies can be used to meet students? And the nature of a middle school learner can be very different than other learners. The causes of learning affected because of students developing physical, emotional, social, and cognitive developments happen in the middle grades. Learning is affected. Students are concrete thinkers. Brain growth hits a plateau during this time. Students are not ready for higher level thinking. But with time, research has found that middle school learners are capable and can use critical thinking. It just has to be with differentiation. And there are developmentally appropriate middle school strategies that can be used to teach differentiation. Because of the nature of middle school learners, intellectual and developmental needs should be met. Student growth should also be charted so kids can know, where was I at and where am I going. Teachers must also know their students and know what they're capable of. And staff must use differentiation to adapt to curriculum student needs. Diverse organizational arrangements, multi-age, grouping should be used with these students. There are also barriers to modifying curriculum. Many barriers prevent implementation of differentiation. Teachers have a lack of knowledge on this modification. Most teachers believe there can be a lack of control in their classroom if they use differentiation. But mostly, teachers just feel as if they have the lack of knowledge to implement differentiation in their classroom. Also, time is very limited for educators. It's hard to differentiate and teach to all levels. And also, lack of planning time can be a problem. And not adequate time. In many schools, you have 40 minutes to teach an entire lesson. How is that adequate time to be able to differentiate instruction? And then also we can look at standards-based teaching. Are standards the right method? Do standards influence excellence of teaching and learning? Differentiation can be accomplished with standards, even though we're teaching exactly what they need to learn. Differentiation can happen. We need to provide materials on task at varied levels through instructional groups. But we must remember that we must differentiate. These groups can be high levels with low levels with middle levels with a mix so that they can be able to help each other to accomplish learning the standards. So why do we differentiate in reading? Reading groups in the past were different. Most reading groups, you had color groups, animal groups, number groups, and we always knew which group was the low group. But this has changed with differentiation. And there's a method to teach all students how to read. But the most important thing to know is students must have ownership of their reading. And choosing their own literature can be very helpful in differentiation. And little instructional support for differentiation is very important. Tools used for differentiation. Differentiation occurs when students are pushed. And ways that we can differentiate: mixed reading levels, spelling assigned by level, small group instruction, highlighted text, variety of material, students' attention, varied teaching modes, video or audio notes. We want to push our students beyond the point of assistance from teachers. Materials are at mixed levels, small groups, highlighting the test, etc. And students must feel a part of their learning. For example, getting to pick what they're going to read, or feeling like whatever they're learning relates to them can help in differentiation. Environment can differentiate by tiered activities, mini workshops, use of time, learning contracts, diverse homework assignments, expert groups, supplemental materials, and independent studies. All of these things change the environment of your classroom and allow differentiation to happen. By ability levels, students are able to take their part that they understand and teach another student what they don't understand. By giving not the same homework to all the kids, they are able to understand what they are given because it is their level. Products. Tiered products. Personal goal setting. Varied resource options. Samples of good student work. We have to show students what is good student work and what is bad student work. Use of technology. Complex instruction. Varied formats of instruction. Learning should happen. Complex instruction and varied forms of expression. So with all this, points to consider are assessment and data, grouping, engaging students, the teaching style that we use, the materials we use, our students' interest, the length and frequency, and our lesson focus. Data is so vital in being able to differentiate. If we know a student's level, we're able to adapt the curriculum to them. Grouping is so important. Putting high students with low students and middle students and mixing up grouping is so important for these students. And we must be able to meet our individual learners and our group learners too. We also need to meet the needs. Talented readers must be challenged. Just because a student can read does not mean that we don't need to work with them. Through critical reading and analysis, we can help our students. We can look at the positives of struggling readers. And we can spend less time remediating and more time helping students become better readers. In conclusion, differentiation in the ELA classroom can be very difficult, and that's why oftentimes we want to avoid it and we don't want to differentiate. So why should we differentiate, and how can I differentiate? Well, it's up to you. I've given you lots of different ways that you can work with your students. And we must follow proper protocol to differentiate. We can't just take what we think and to do it. And environment and content are very important. If you would like any of this information, you can email me at holly.graham@live.com, and I can send you this paper with all the references for you to be able to get more of a glimpse of differentiation in the ELA middle school classroom. Thank you.